and their guitarist Warren Fitzgerald is really good. Um, Joe Escalante is funny.
Hey there, hi there, ho there. Welcome to a Thursday Collection Connection, where we're playing that game. It's just an excuse to talk about records. I play the game with my brother, Plastic Eric. He's on the Plastic Soundwave Cults channel every week. Him on Monday, me on Thursday. We talk about, present an album, and the gimmick is that the album that we show has to, in some way, relate to the album previously shown in the other person's video. So it's a pretty easy game. Let's move ahead. In Eric's last video, he talked about the Vandals, Fear of a Punk Planet. Not terribly familiar with the Vandals, but they sounded a lot like Bad Religion to me, who I am more familiar with. It's surprising to me that the name The Vandals hadn't been grabbed up by the time that they got to it, and first made me think of another band with a semi-synonymous band name, something like the Rascals or Savages or something like that. But in the end, I didn't go that direction. But anyway, the music was not bad. It felt more proto pop punk, kind of the late 90s and 2000s, than it did punk. I had music out of the 70s to me, kind of that bridging sound that, again, I felt like Bad Religion typified pretty well. It was impossible for me to tell exactly what they were saying. I didn't really understand the lyrics, but I could tell that there was a sense of humor from the song titles. I just couldn't make out the words as they were being sung. And the album itself followed, if I got my dates right, fairly hot on the heels of Public Enemy's Fear of a Black Planet. And it seems that their previous album, which was Slippery When Ill, was kind of a mashup of Bon Jovi's Slippery When Wet and the Beastie Boys' License to Ill. So I always feel like those kind of jokes you got to be careful with a little bit when they're so of the moment. There's only one real jokey album title that strikes me as funny every time I listen to it, or every time I hear the album name, and that is Electric Landlady from Kirsty MacColl, taken off of Jimi Hendrix's Electric Ladyland. Any other time, it feels like once the joke is worn out, that, I don't know, you're left with a weird reference that doesn't exactly stand the test of time. But Eric has talked about, perhaps not in Collection Connections, but I think on his channel, and at the very least to me in conversation, that it's almost a trope of punk albums to throw on a cover of some sort of stylistically inappropriate song. And on Fear of a Punk Planet, there is a song they call Summer Lovin', which is a cover of Summer Nights from Grease, the Grease soundtrack, and Teenage Idol, which is an old Ricky Nelson song. And on the special anniversary edition, which is what got dialed up when I looked up the album to listen to, there's also a cover of Kokomo, the Beach Boys song. So I thought about the stylistic mismatch. First thing it made me think of was They Might Be Giants' cover of Why Does the Sun Shine, which is an old educational record from like the 50s. It first released as a single all on its own, very much in that sort of glockenspiel-y kind of educational song style. But they started performing it live, at which point they started thrashing it out, and they ended up re-recording it for their kid-focused album, Here Comes Science, and that's sort of like the definitive version of it now. But I didn't really want to do that. Would have been a third They Might Be Giants album for me. Wasn't quite prepared to go there yet, but I did remember a very odd little album. This may be a bear for Eric to check out, I'm not sure, but an album that was themed entirely around bands doing stylistic mismatch covers. And it's something that the likes of the AV Club from The Onion have done in their series Undercover, where they have a list of songs, and the bands that come in have to pick one of the songs to perform. But in this case, it was an Australian radio show, the Andrew Denton Breakfast Show in Australia on Triple M Radio. They made a series and released a couple of CDs in 2000 and 2001, and a third volume, I think, that just carried the Triple M name after maybe he had stopped doing the breakfast show. God, I'm doing this very poorly. I apologize for that. But the album from 2001 is Andrew Denton's Musical Challenge 2. So there are no less than 29 songs on here. The reason I got it is because Neil Finn, who I'm a big fan of, does a cover of Marvin Gaye's Sexual Healing on this album. And then when I thought about it yesterday, I realized that was the only song from this disc that I had actually imported. So I chucked the whole thing in and was listening to it, and you've got things, it's very Australia focused. Triple M is an Australian radio station conglomerate, something. It may have been a single station back in 2000, but here in the days of internet radio, it seems to be split into about 7 or 8 channels. So not all the bands are super recognizable to me, but of the names that I knew, there's Bare Naked Ladies, who cover When Doves Cry on here. Stabbing Westward does Top of the World. I'm on the top of the world looking down on creation, that song. We have the Wiggles, the classic Australian kids performers. The Wiggles, who do a cover of Lou Reed's Walk on the Wild Side, although they definitely changed the lyrics so they're not saying controversial things in their version, as well as Paul Kelly doing Prince's Little Red Corvette, and a Willie Nelson cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit. Yeah, it's basically about matching up, or mismatching up, I should say, a band with a song that's completely outside of their style and seeing what they can make of it. This was the second volume that they released of these things. I don't know that there's a ton more to say. I do really like Neil Finn's version of Sexual Healing, and a lot of these are pretty fun. There's covers of Eye of the Tiger and Wouldn't It Be Nice from the Beach Boys, and a couple of AC/DC songs. So again, kind of Australia focused. There's a cover of Dirty Deeds and a cover of TNT. Kind of fun. I don't know how easy it will be for Eric to sample, preview, listen to this album. CD from 2001, and just came from the radio station, I think. Well, no, it's on Sony Music, so got an official release, but was kind of released as a fundraiser. And blah, 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 blah. I should stop talking. So I will throw the Strange Radio compilation, Andrew Denton's Musical Challenge 2, an album of covers by bands who don't play the style of music of the song that they're covering. Throw that over to Eric. He'll have a chance to try and preview it somehow, and he will come up with a connection and present that on Monday. So, something to look forward to. As for me, that's all I got to say. So, I thank you for watching, and bye-bye.